The 2024 CrossFit Open is officially behind us, and now we look ahead to the rest of the season. Next stop, quarterfinals. The Open wrapped up with 24.3, a brutal combo of ascending weight thrusters and gymnastic movements on the pull-up rig. Athletes had to break out their bare complex grips for this one. Next up, quarterfinals. The top 25% of individual men are invited to continue their competition season in the next virtual stage. Quarterfinals raise the bar with higher skilled movements and heavier weights, and qualified athletes will compete in a series of workouts to see who will make it to the in-person semifinals. So let's take a look at the men to keep an eye on as we head to the men's individual quarterfinals starting on April 17th. And joining me now are Tommy Marquez and Chase Ingraham. So let's start with the man that won the Open. Jonne Koski finds himself on top of the overall leaderboard in the Open for the first time in his career.
Oh, and I think Jonne Koski is like the old man in the sport, the old wiry veteran. And then I looked at his age because he's sitting at the top of the leaderboard. It's 29. 29 years old. He's not even 30. And the guy made his debut in 2014. He was 19 at his first trip to the CrossFit Games. And you think the things that Jonne has always been good at, longer endurance events, the swim event where he typically wins, or even a bike event, something really long is where he's at. But if you want to look at Jonne's career overall, he has had a lot of injuries in what we consider the prime time of his career. 2016 to 2021, he had to pull out of the CrossFit Games because of a back injury. He had 2 knee surgeries in 2018 and a shoulder surgery in 2021. But during that time, this is how good he is. He got 9th, 7th, and 6th in that 5-year injury-laden stretch. We could be looking at Jonne, who's approaching 30, which could be prime fitness time. We've seen that for a lot of athletes in the sport. Injury-free, pain-free, and maybe training at his peak, that first time we've seen in his 10-year career at the CrossFit Games. So Jonne, we might get the best version of him for 2024.
It's certainly coming off of a worldwide open win. That seems to be the inclination, considering that he had a career best finish last year at the Games at 6th without the swim event. We didn't hit the water, and that's something he's one of the best in the sport at. And who knows if we'll get it in Fort Worth, but he's built his game to be able to absorb, the lack of those types of events. And you look at some of the other things that he's incredibly good at is the high level skill. This is his 4th worldwide open win in 24.3, and 3 of those have come with bar muscle ups under fatigue. You look at how he did in the muscle up logs, and he just likes that upper body pulling basically any way that he can get it. And now he joins elite company in the worldwide open winners across the history of the sport. You look at Adler, Saxon, Vellner, Noah, Fraser, Rich, Dan Bailey. What do those guys have in common? All 7 have finished inside the top 5 at the CrossFit Games, and 5 of the 7 have finished on the podium in their career. So either one of those would be a career best for Jonne. So by doing so, he joins elite company, and this certainly signals a good thing to come in the future for him.
Meanwhile, Jeff Adler looking to repeat as the fittest man on earth, and he looks poised to make a serious run at the top of the podium here in 2024.
And I think it's almost more encouraging that there are maybe some naysayers and doubters out in the ether saying, hey, maybe this one year was his shot and he's not going to be able to do it. Because if you look at Jeff Adler's career, all he's done is kept his head down and proven doubters wrong. He came into the top of the sport at a time when online qualification was paramount. And how did he respond to people saying he's only good online? You know what? He bounces back. He wins the Atlas Games, upsetting Vellner in person. And he goes and wins North America East last year in a stacked men's field. Then they go, you know what? Your best finishes at the Games came when it was primarily online. He resets, maybe has a year going back where he finishes 13th after a 5th, and then steadily gets better until he ascends to the top last season. His skill set is improved as well. A lot of people kind of pegged him as a power athlete. Well, how do you prove them wrong? You go out and you finish 2nd in the 5K, and then you win Helena, basically baiting one of the best runners in the sport into a pace that they couldn't sustain. And so at every turn, him and his coach, Carolyn Lambre, deserve a ton of credit for being open source and open-minded, willing to accept whatever they can for the long-term goal of getting better. And right now, he is the best in the sport.
Well, Jay Crouch is the other man we want to talk about here. 3rd overall, and man, did he look good in that live announcement of 24.3, Chase.
He really did. And you think about his pedigree so far coming out of the Oceania semifinal and what he's poised to do this year. He has come out and said, is like, I want a podium. I want to be one of those superstar athletes to come out of the Oceania region. Well, you got some company with Ricky Garrard, and hopefully he stays off the bike and he gets back into semifinals this year. And that might be a packed podium on top with some of familiar athletes in the same semifinal. But what I'm looking at, Jay, is his evolution as an athlete. He made a huge jump last year from 2023 at the CrossFit Games, finishing 28th to 8th place in 2023. And what I'm liking to see there is that he was in a steady decline. It was weird. He's like 18th in 20, 22nd in 21, and then 28th and 28th in 22, and then that big jump in the 8th. And what I was looking at his performance at the CrossFit Games is that, listen, he's got a body type to be one of the best in the game. He's 5'9", 195. That is a prototypical CrossFit male athlete at the CrossFit Games. His weakness tends to be those heavier odd object tests. 22nd in alpaca, 22nd in ski bag, 19th in the bottom third in the Olympic total with a barbell, and then 20th, which was actually last place in the muscle up logs. Where he's excelled, oddly, is those single modality tests. Top 3 in the bike, top 3 in the handstand walk, top 3 in the run. This guy, if he can fine tune those things where he's finishing outside the top 20, Jay Crouch is going to be a very dangerous athlete at the CrossFit Games.
The quarterfinals go from April 3rd to the 22nd, and you can keep up to date on all the action on games.crossfit.com.